Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the semi-final of the loser bracket between VNR and Fat Cloud Gaming. Joined with my co-caster and actually sitting right next to me for a nice change. Welcome, man.
How's it? Thanks very much. It's going to be an interesting matchup and something we haven't done before. Obviously, doing one of these combined casts. Coincidentally, you're down in PE. So how's your stay been?
Yeah, been great. Loving the place. Haven't been here before, so enjoying the hospitality. But yeah, down to business now. Not wasting any time. It looks like we're going to be getting into what should be the pistol round. I believe we already had the knife round, and then that's given us our maps, which is Inferno, and then I think it's Train. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, so we're going to be in, I'm not sure, it looks like they've already called sides. Yeah, this isn't live anything. Okay, yeah, we're going into the pistol now. So we have got Fat Clouds on T side with VNR on CT, and this is the main team of VNR, consisting of Slowy, Kenpachi, Bananas, and yeah, this is they've got some expectations. They didn't qualify for the Mega 8 in the end, so they'd like to redeem themselves. This is a good opportunity for them to make it quite far in the competition. You know, I think they'd have quite a big expectation. Fat Clouds, they've shown that they've got some decent skill. They're a very aggressive team, and they've got a lot of buggy style players, and they're managing to make this skill work. Slowly, he gets the first, so slowing down the push, very aggressive once again from the T's. Already getting 2 frags, and well, the CTs are just shutting down altogether. 4 taken down, only 1 player remaining in Stinkwood, and they're closing around his position. He manages to get 1, but them knowing where he is now, going to be easy to close it out. So VNR first to pick up the round.
Yeah, good work from VNR just to hold until the necessary push. Obviously, pushing through that B gave them the nice boxing effect, and unfortunately, from that perspective, FC weren't able to get into any commanding position, and obviously running down out of players, you're going to have a situation trying to fight 2-on-1, and obviously, as we know, not the easiest to try and even get a retake, so you don't want to do too much of an error if you're getting boxed in at that point.
Yeah, man. Looks like B is going to be the choice to hit you. Fat Clouds, this is their map, and Train is indeed their last pick, so nice to start off with a win here for VNR. Fat Clouds going for the full investment here, getting the upgraded pistol and the armor. I see getting quite far up in Banana here, trying to just play around the edge of the smoke, see if he can find someone, not expecting him. Slowly gets an easy frag as he pushes through by himself. Just trying to maybe just find an advantage, but they had a one-man advantage already before he made that play, so maybe just throwing away a little bit unnecessary there. Keeping the bomb at the top of Banana, just trying to find something in the, yeah, Team A, which is VNR, just playing it very passively at the moment. They've got 4 UMPs, so they don't really have the range to work with. Unreal's playing a Speedway. He's going to have to rotate quite quickly here because it is going to be the B hit. They've managed to come in with all 4 players, so it's going to be very aggressive here. And the B player's going to have to do quite a lot of work, and manages to get 1. Well, his support player Slowly does, or Slowly is actually the B player. He gets taken down by Stinkwood, so that's control of the site. They're going to be able to get the bomb down with 3 versus 3 now. Retake players coming from CT. That Banana not going to be a problem for the T's to worry about. They managed to get 1 though, that's unreal. 2 players left. They have got kits to work with, so that extra time, no equipment though, so it's about finding those frags, and they're pushing all 3 together. Perfectly timed, and going to complete the retake pretty easily in the end.
Yeah, again, VNR showing that team cohesion just to be able to finish off and create the complete seal off, and their retakes are really working well before even the bomb is going down, as you saw in the first round. And in this case, allowing that situation to get into control and get all players ready up. And we don't always see those basics getting carried out. We see teams, or especially players, when they're thinking that they're having a really beyond godlike moments, and they want to just continue pushing and continue taking that advantage. It causes such an issue for pushing singularly, and well, it's nicely done by VNR, and it's going to be key to see if that they follow through with this if they want to maintain. And they're really going 1 player down before getting that trade with the situation here. I think we're using that advantage of the Deagle, but as we can see, just leveling out the cash for next round.
Yeah, full eco here for Fat Cloud Gaming, so an opportunity for Vienna to take it to 3-0. One of those feel good rounds, as Semler would call it. Just get that KPD up and shut them out a little bit. Maybe get yourself a Tech 9, go into the next round, but it's also making sure that you don't give up any frags to the T's in this situation, because they've got so little to work with. You need to make sure that you are building up a decent economy, and well, of course, that's the name of the game on CT side. You want to make sure that if you do lose a round, you don't straight fall back onto that eco situation, and Vienna are doing a decent enough job of it at the moment, keeping 3 players alive, but that's probably the bare minimum. They want to make sure they don't lose anybody else. Zen's in a decent position here. Maybe they don't expect him to be so close in Apsia, but they're holding a decent cross. As manages to get out of the room as well. So it's just about him now, 14 seconds left, just trying to play the clock, maybe find somebody on the exit, but of course not going to be able to get much done. He already found 2 frags and gets to be as well. Make sure he mustn't go down after the clock. Some missed shots there in the end, but by Tienki, who is now playing in this VNR lineup as well. I mean, Tienki, ex-XTC player now coming across to the VNR side. Quite interesting to see. I mean, that XTC team did seem to stall a little bit, so no surprise to see them making maybe a bit of a roster change. They brought in Spaz, who's that young talent, and he seems to be doing quite well for them. So interesting to see now him being picked up by VNR, and I believe it's also a full Afrikaans lineup, so that just makes calling a little bit more natural for them in that regard. Kenpachi, he's a kind of a stalwart, you know, he's always been there, very fairly successful. Even when his team is struggling, he's always been doing really well. So a lot of potential in this VNR lineup, and hopefully this year they're capable of taking it and consistently holding at the next level.
Yeah, we've been often talking about the next stage that's coming up. Obviously, after being the top 8, the Premier League players, even Masters level, and we've seen the level that is coming up behind them. And a lot of these players have played in that top level as well, just not obviously with this combination. So it's going to be really important to see that they are able to maintain this kind of level of play and be getting more and more used to each other in the way that they're doing the retakes and the way that they're entering into the sites, just getting your general communication going and maintain those normal bases, which, I mean, we've seen Bananas playing for a couple of years now, and he's got quite a bit of a reputation for being able to get really key frags at the most important times. So when he's able to maintain that, and I mean, Kempachi also been around for years, same as Unreal, like he was saying, going to be vital. Here's to see how this goes, the longevity of it.
Well, they're going to be making a hit on the B side, getting one weapon frags going in favor of Fat Cloud at the moment, as they've got the one-man advance. Tianki up close here in church, gets some damage done, but not going to find the frag, so a few of the players are quite low for Fat Cloud, but still alive and kicking to retake coming through here. They've got the kits to work with, so it's just about finding those frags. They've got that extra time, and they've been taking quite a lot of it. They're trying to work out the angles, all going to get taken down from church, and that's the problem, because now it's all down to Bananas, and he's not going to be able to get anything else done. So Fat Cloud coming straight back into the first buy round, and that's going to put some pressure onto that economy of Vienna. They're going to have to full buy and use all that cash that they've saved up in the previous rounds, and an opportunity for Fat Cloud to get into it earlier on here. I mean, they went down to lose the pistol, and if they win this next round, all of a sudden there's an eco for Vienna, and they've evened out the scoreline. So still early on, and game still really up in the air.
Yeah, we often talk about that first buy round and how important it is, and I think it's key to it, especially on a map where you know you can be very strongly CT favored. You want to maintain that additional pressure and don't allow the CT to run away economically. I mean, we've seen a lot of Inferno recently, and it's really been the teams that have timed those rotations and those that have controlled their cash flow to be able to get their best added advantage for that part of the map. And once you take in a bit of steamrolling effect and start getting your gelling working, everything seems to work out well in this map. You're able to peak corners correctly, get in your teamwork, and make sure that your twos are moving in at the right times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a map we've seen actually a lot recently, specifically in this Community Shield. Teams haven't been shying away from it at all. So, I mean, it's actually probably been the most popular map we've casted so far. So that's exciting to see that teams in South Africa are not shying away from it. It's getting that popularity once again, and we're seeing how much more work team done. And if you put in a lot of time, there really is ample opportunity on this map to shut out the CTs, take that important map control. If you're a competent L who's mid-round decisions, then Inferno can be a map that works really well for your team. You run the clock down really low, make those late decisions, and just force rotations back and forth from the CTs using your equipment really well. And yeah, like I said, the T side, you can really get a lot of work done. So we should be seeing more 6-7 sort of scores at halftime on this side.
Yeah, that's completely right. We were actually talking about that a couple of days ago with regards to how many of these maps are now becoming this half score of 8-7, 9-6, and really being something where the battle isn't, those 13 twos or 14 ones too often. And even if it is, we're finding that that's very rare, and it's always replicated often by that team that they're playing at the same time. So within the next 14 rounds, you're ending up having either a 15 all. I mean, we saw that overnight. It was a 12-3 first half, and I mean that comeback completely wiped the time off the board, pushing that game so late. And those kind of environments, when you're getting into those such close halves, or not in this case, it really ends up pushing these games a lot longer than they used to be, and it's changed the meta completely with regards to the way that CS is working and the way that the T half is so important.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also great conditioning for these teams and for them to get a great taste and experience of what it really boils down to, and it's good for a team to get pushed to its limits, so it can really figure out all the small finalities of that make the difference between a lower tier and a higher tier team. So pressure is a great thing, and when you're playing so many games, like you've got the metal stage, you've got all these qualifiers, you've got the telecom games. There's lots of games to be played. So if you're really if you want to commit, then there is something to commit to, and then that's an exciting thing, because it's never really been like that before in South Africa. So exciting times ahead, but looks like we should be getting live soon, as VNR are going to be forcing back into this one, but they don't have too much to work with. Weapon has been dropped for Kenpachi, but I'm not sure it has. There's some decent money on TNP. Yeah, he's going to be able to drop a UMP, so have some SMGs and rifles to work with. AWP as well on Slowy. Slowy also a ex-Call of Duty player, as well as Kenpachi and Bananas. I mean, we speak about that quite regularly, and that's just one of the main feeders into the recent Counter-Strike team. Is lots of Call of Duty players, and they're just showing capable to compete with the Counter-Strike old dogs.
I'm up to a major challenge. The older players, the players more experience, they're seeing a lot of it's such an important point in this map. Really something that goes for contention every single time that we play this scenario of getting anybody battling out, especially with the AWPs. The teams or the AWPs are being used so well to control that position, and if you are able to, from the T's to control it, it forces that CTs into that open area. But I'm not sure what was quite happening there from Kenpachi, leaving his head peaking a little bit too high, maybe a little bit unplanned, but it's going to allow FC to get straight back into the A side. They can take and IC is going to get another one, as that's really key to be able to take this control.
Yeah, they have a man advantage jab, which is taken back by Unreal, but the bomb has now gone down, so forced into the retake. Only one kit to work with as well. They managed to trade out one of their SMGs for a rifle. That AWP still and so we're going to have to find a frag to make this possible. 2 players in the ditch area, so they're going to have to flush them out somehow, and I see making that so much more difficult by getting an extra frag, but not done just yet. Slowly going straight into the sun. 250, he's going to get taken down. It was really a Hail Mary play there, just trying to blast into the site, putting everything on the line, not working out in the end, and that's going to get Fat Cakes a pretty decent position. They're going to be putting VNR in an eco now, and an opportunity for them to even out the scoreline. So VNR pressure starting to get to them a little bit, and the initial CT setup's not working out so well for them. And even though they're managing to keep that banana control, Fatcakes has been putting most of their emphasis on A, but now swapping it up going to B, and we see quite a regular back coming out to the 4-man pushdown on the eco, and they managed to get one, but they have lost two of them. They get down with two in the end. Zen, he's pushed up very aggressive through T-Apps, and he's going to catch one from behind, so just making sure that things don't get too out of control as they keep the man advantage now. And Meister still maintaining banana control and just keeping the advantage strong as they get the bomb down now on A.
Yeah, very important there. They didn't lose belief if they had that position where they were playing a 3v2 and they got boxed in. It could have been quite a bit of a detrimental situation. But obviously, as we saw Zen doing a perfectly timed push to ensure that there isn't such that they're having to look in those multiple directions. But that banana can get really dangerous. You can get really channeled into almost a lineup situation, and you need to be careful. I mean, I think we may even see that banana play coming out now with those 4 nades. Either that or maybe boxing and using middle and banana at the same time. So if this ends up working out with the only the 1-1 trade in the middle, that's an additional bad bars and not any damage done from those nades really.
Yeah, it's a problem. You rely quite heavily on this to get the initial damage down when you've got the pistols, so gonna have to land some headshots now if they're gonna want to make this a reality. They do get the 1-for-1 trade in the middle, which is not that bad. They've got 2 players over towards B, 2 players over towards A, so at least a little bit of resistance on whichever site Fat Cloud choose to go to, which looks like it's going to be B at the moment, bomb top of banana. Some noise being made by the other players, so trying to pull over some rotations, but VNR not biting on the bait just yet. Still lots of equipment to work for Fat Cloud, so they don't need to rush into anything unnecessary. Just take their time clear out the side. Light is going to get the first Kenpachi in a forward boost position. They're going to rattle. Not going to land anything just yet, and now they know exactly where he is, he's going to get shut down instantaneously. That's a problem. You really need to get at least 1 or 2 there, and that means that the remaining 2 players don't really stand much of a chance. Unreal is that like a church here. Tom just from down, he has a slight opportunity here, lands a nice shot, but now with his position being compromised, feels like it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, the timing obviously not just working out in his favor to be able to stop that bomb from going down and creating that additional pressure needed. Having only those 2 players alive, it would have been good to see a 3rd or 4th, maybe somebody even picking up a weapon. That would have changed everything. 6 HP is a singular direction and could have changed a hell of a lot. But at the end of the day, those must-win rounds ended up going in favor of Fat Cloud, so it's going to be important that they try and maintain this. They're going to go into a full buy-up situation, pretty much the second real full one we've had. If this goes down on a double up setup, really expensive, throwing all the economy into this round, trying to level it back out. After having that start, they're going to need to get more than just the 3. They don't want to pick up 6 quite early, otherwise they're going to be in a bit of trouble to maintain that pressure throughout.
Yeah, they don't want to let Fat Cloud get out of control here, but Banana's using the first op to some good use. He gets them the first frag, and Banana's a bit of a JW there. Ice going through the smoke, get some decent damage down. Not going to be able to follow it up, but they've managed to get some good forward control here in the apps and middle, also towards top of Banana. So they're taking the information away from VNR at this point, and that's going to mean that VNR have to use their equipment quite early in the round, and we see that already. So whichever the limited equipment they have, they've already expended quite a bit of it. So Fat Cloud can just run the clock down until there's nothing left, and then use that advantage in their favor. But they look like they're going quite heavily towards A here in the name of a fake, which has managed to pull 1 player over. They got 3 on A now. Bomb's still at the bottom of Banana, so they're not quite decided on what they want to be doing yet, but a nice play from VNR as they take the bait. VNR, Unreal hiding in the corner. He's going to get the frag onto an unexpected IC, and that means that they're probably going to make their hit towards the B side, but there is only 2 players here at the moment for Fat Cloud Gaming, as VNR still just structured as ever in their defense, not over-rotating, just making sure that they commit to the solid hold 3-2 at the moment. Still don't want to leave any holes, don't want to make sure they can get flanked unexpectedly. and I might have gone back towards A, and then as there's smoke, that gives TNK an opportunity to get one as they push through. Still gonna manage to get towards the site here. I don't think they're gonna be able to get the bomb now. Still, the AWP using Fit and Unreal on site is gonna shut them down. So VNR coming straight back into it in that important environment.
Something we're seeing, excuse me, something we're seeing quite often is that scenario that the teams really are trying to level out the playing field and not allow too much of an economical breakthrough, otherwise they lose that half quite quickly. So when it's getting into these close rounds, they're winning them with just enough to make it through, and the resets are really close between each other. So I mean, now in the situation that you have a 4-4 matchup, and you've got an important set of players ahead of yourselves, you've got to make sure that you don't overuse and under account for different plays that could be used multiple times. And obviously once you get into that rut, then one of the other teams will take quite a bit of control away from you. So you want to maintain that confidence and maintain the aspect of being able to play a classic game using your version, and obviously taking the slowing plays, forcing the team to play.
Well, this time it was an aggressive push from the T's onto the E side. They managed to get all the way through the initial pick as well, but the retake is just way too powerful for them to keep off as the CTs have barged their way straight back into the side. All that's remaining is Master, and he has an AWP, could get some damage down here, lands a first shot on the banana, but the bomb is completely out of his control, and that's going to be defused. He's going to get taken down, so going to give up that open opportunity for the double up setup once again for VNL. They're going to take that, so getting themselves 2 consecutive rounds now, and it's all about making sure that they get 3, 4, 5 rounds together in a row, build that economy like I said, and make sure they give themselves a really good C-half here, as they once again take the lead. And Fat Cloud not going to get ahead of themselves here, they're going to decide to eco once again, so VNR could get some confidence out of this, just upgrading the pistols and getting some armor where possible. Going to make sure that they've got the money for the AWP and the full equipment in the next round. Nice shot there from Unreal, going to take down Meister, so advantage going straight the way of VNR, and with no equipment in the hands of Fat Cloud, you just feel like they don't give themselves much of a chance. And I see some of the players have got over 5,000, and you feel like a smoke investment might just be worth it, or a couple of flashes, but in the end they're not going to get any. But VNR are shutting them out as they've taken down 4 players without losing one of their own, and now bomb firmly in their control. All up to Stinkwood to, well, I'm not sure what much can be done from this situation. P251 versus 5, and no equipment.
Maybe set up a bit of a bra, get your pre post game drinks ready, a little bit of snacks. But otherwise, yeah, I don't think he would have been able to cause too much damage. And if he did, I think that also could do a hell of a lot to change up the gameplay. Those are those rounds we talk about that can sway the flow of things, and it just takes something simple like that, or something simple where you're losing players to a bomb explosion, or the communication runs dry, and you don't want to have that chance. So it'd be good for VNR to be able to get that advantage now and allow themselves a little bit of breathing room for that next half.
Bananas landing the leg shot there nicely. Not going to get up the frag again. Very aggressive and Atio. Going to get Tianki, who probably didn't expect someone to be there so quickly. Connor's going to even it out quite quickly and take it back to 4vs4. Going to get a second one on Apso, controlling it really nicely here as he finds a 3k. He's going to close it up with the 4th, so just showing his capabilities there with the quick 4k, single-handedly locking down that ace site, and just shows up close and personal. He has no problem locking it down, so that's going to put him in a spot of bother as they did buy up in that round, and they got instantly shut out. So they've now tried the aggressive D as well as the aggressive A, and neither one of them have worked out. So they're going to have to now slow down a little bit and just make sure they keep that map control which they were getting and pushing slowly off of that. But Bananas once again getting himself another frag and slowly following up with 1-2. So this eco round not looking like it's going to be able to get much work done as they've got themselves a 2-man advantage.
Yeah, very key plays to ensure that you can satisfy the actual investment into the round. Obviously, if you get a couple of players with smokes, etc., especially in that good round, are key. If you take any damage across, you want to make sure that you do it for the save rather than to force force CTs onto the situation that they aren't running with 12, 10k plus each. In this case, pretty much as close as you can get to full buying for the rest of the half. And obviously, on the opposite end of it, if you are the T side and trying to get that extra cash flow, it really is less detrimental when it happens to you, but it can really be a tilting point for the perspective of trying to frustrate the position. You don't really want to be in that scenario of fighting away with pistols and then losing your main bar. So double P coming out there from VNR, one from each player. I would support the double P just based on the way that they position themselves there. Kapachi doing one-on-one scenarios, really not what they're doing, maybe a little bit ahead of themselves before score line. The way that they finished off the fourth round after something to focus on. We'll see how the FC team goes back from the second four down.
Yeah, it's such a problem that they let Fat Cloud back into it as easily as they did, peeking and a little bit careless, not smoking the cross like they have been every round, and Fat Cloud not going to be messing up this advantage as they get themselves the penultimate frag, and Slow is going to just be trying to save this AWP 1 versus 4, and just been, yeah, like I said, completely shut out the round. They need to make sure that they don't get ahead of themselves. There's still a long way to go in this map, and Batline could get back into it very quickly. Now they're going to be taking down Slowy as well, so he's not going to be able to save that off, but they have saved up a decent amount of bank, so not going to have any trouble to buy back straight into this one, as well as the next. But yeah, 5 rounds, not too bad for Fat Cloud. Of course, 6 probably decent enough. They consider that they've won themselves the half in that regard, but 5, to only end up with 5, I feel VNR comes out on top. So still all up for grabs at the moment. Double orb setup coming up for both teams, so it's going to be all about giving those orbs on the T side time to find the frags. And VNR, that previous round, you feel is not going to be giving them any opportunity. They're going to be sitting very far back. It's going to be up to these T offers to be pushing up and finding some advanced angles and taking some aggressive peeks if they're going to want to get these frags. Where the CT offers are going to be sitting back. As I say that, Bananas, one of the OP gets taken down. So that was believed with the AK-47 in the end. So that's going to put VNR quite far back, as that means they only have 2 players on the A site at the moment. They're not going to be rotating one just yet. Unreal still holding here towards Arch is going to be able to keep it down. Some singular play coming out here from the Fat Cloud players, as we just see far too often that one of their players is venturing off by themselves through the smoke with no opportunity for a refrag to come through, as we see there once again Icy getting taken down without anything in return. And just looks like it's going to be a fake over towards A, but they're actually going to start committing to this. So the one which lag behind is coming up forward. Chloe with the AWP gets a nice one. He also spotted the player who went behind him, so he's going to grab the knife and get that frag as well. Off down the side, really nicely with the AWP here. One more player and his teammate is going to come in with support. Kenpachi saving his life when he has 19 points of health. Great round there from VNR just to get straight back into it, picking themselves up to 9th, and not going to have much of a buy here at all are the Fat Cloud Gaming, so good opportunity here for VNR to close out the half with 10 rounds.
Yeah, VNR maintaining that little bit of advantage they gained after coming back being 4-3 down, and they haven't really to be losing a round since then. They haven't had to have too many comeback scenarios with a clutch play or two, and they really have been able to shut down Fat Cloud as they've made their moves around the map. That was only that one time where they ended up peaking individually. Like what you were mentioning earlier, we see it too often that teams, especially when they get ahead of themselves, moments. And in that case, not being individual, slightly off time and both looking in the wrong place, and then VNR just shutting it out completely. The bar not being too much in favor of FC at all, and not to assist in that point. So yeah, 10-5, a good start, nice strong representation from VNR, and just like you said, not being able to make it into that Mega 8 event, having some, going back to the drawing boards, probably getting some things going again, and looking strong to start off this loser's bracket game.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that, and like I said, I think they have a lot of potential, so hopefully they are capable of utilizing that as they go into the second half here. with an opportunity to really solidify this game, this first map for them. As if they do get this pistol round, you feel like they've set themselves up pretty well. An aggressive player from West is going to get one, as well as some information as he spots out the second player. So already one player being taken down now for VNR. That's slowly. Now 4 versus 5, going to prompt some aggression straight into B. Oh, two beautiful one taps from Stinkwood. Going to shut them down. That front push almost instantaneously. All that's remaining is Bananas. He gets himself one, but he gets the same treatment from B this time. And all that's left is Unreal in a 1 versus 4, who's also going to get taken down with the one tap. So great plays in the end there from Fat Cloud. Some nice shooting as they don't muck up that pistol round, and they keep themselves in this map. And yeah, VNR now, they know that once a team gets going on the CT side, it can be pretty difficult to crack the code. So they're not going to want to wait too long before they start getting themselves a couple rounds. As we see, they're going to be going for a full eco here, not even forcing it in the second round, even though they didn't get the bomb down. Some big nades coming out from the Fat Cloud side, taking down the VNR players to quite low HP, as they're all up middle at the moment and kind of running around like headless chickens. And you just feel like, I mean, at the moment with clocks and P250s, they really don't have much going for them.
No, that's also another thing we often speak about, is just the ability to have one or two utilities, even if you're not gonna make a massive investment into the round. I'd rather have that flash, just get one kill, just because the fact the guy couldn't see you and in the second round. Besides just trying to get the round over, rather put that into the investment than the people at the end of the day. They didn't even take a single player down. All players were ready for them as they came running in. The best move you can kind of do is time a push in two directions at the same time. And if you can execute that, you might just get lucky if the players aren't looking at the same direction at the opposite times.
So VNR just committing to this economy build up here, as they're full ecoing once again. Again, Fat Cloud just making great use of those HE grenades as they flick the head lots of damage before VNR even see one of the CT players following up with the guns quite nicely here, as they only have one player taken down. So starting off the CT side strongly here, as they've picked up the first 3 rounds and going to be going into the first fire round here. Not going to have any AW. Okay, no, Meister does come up with the AWP in the end. No AWP to work with, so it's just going to be the 5 AKs across the board, as well as full equipment to work with. So with all this equipment, there really is so much that they can do, and you just feel it's about making sure that they have that map control, use this equipment to get all that map control, and then use what you have left over to make the execution later on in the round. You know, they still have that 2-round advantage, so it's about just taking it patiently. They still have the game in their favor, so they need to play like that, use the confidence, and learn what sort of setup the CTs are using, get that information.
Yeah, very vital information to be able to force the CTs to change it up, and if once players start playing out of their comfort zones and into different positions to hold different angles, sometimes you'll find that it works for weeks on end with your normal position played, and if you don't get a chance to change it up, it gets very important to not have a forced rotation on your position that you were playing. Obviously being inexperienced in the last couple of weeks and not necessarily warmed up in an alternative angle, especially in playing. So yeah, something to focus on.
Well, they're focusing on the B side here as they push it in, they get themselves 2 frames, so advantage going the way of VNR. They get control of the site, and they still have some equipment to work with. All 3 of the players coming from CT here, as our observer makes it quite clear with some interesting orange blocks there. Can't quite call them circles, but 3 versus 4 now as the retake begins to commence. They've got 2 kids to work with, and one of them now getting taken down, so at least they do get the refrag, but they still haven't managed to get up close to the side here, and that equipment just causing more trouble for them as it blocks the whole church angle for them to work with, going to be filtering them through. Zen does get 1 though, so it's still something to work with, but they do start back out of the site as there's just too much time that's gone by. As they do at least get another frag, so doing some decent damage to the economy of VNR, but still the round's going to go the way of VNR, and although they still get that bomb down, so economy not going to be too much of a problem in this round. But on the opposite end, Pancloud have got something to work with. They saved the 2 rifles, so they're going to be able to get the full buy-up. But if they do lose this round, then it's going to be a problem. They're looking at double eco territory, and then at that stage, VN are really going to have run away with the round. Well, the map, rather.
Yeah, that scenario of cash flow, something we focus on a hell of a lot, and teams suffer time and time again, especially when you miss timing your situation, something goes wrong, and you're having to force yourself to rebuy something that you didn't expect to or didn't want to, and then you start seeing it, especially in those later rounds, and if the rounds are pushing all the way to the 29th or 30th round, we've seen a couple of times that a 15 all can be decided slightly differently into a 16-14 scenario, just because of the fact that they didn't have the economical value to go through all the way to the last round. And those pushes, obviously, in the end of the day, losing players will always be a natural part of it. Just trying to make as many as you can, and even if it's 5 HP, it doesn't really matter.
Bananas on pretty low HP, so he's going to agree with you at the moment, as he's still made his way to the site. Unreal and Slowy are the players though to find frag, so getting the advantage out of nowhere, as they were at a disadvantage at one stage, so making it work, getting that bomb down, and again it's going to have to be the retake. This is a really important round for Fatcloud to get back into for the sake of their economy. And the Molotov going to be wasted. Unreal playing in the corner nicely and patiently here, and they're going to straight away go for the save. So VNR doing a great job as they come out back from a disadvantage to get themselves to the air site and get another round, and now they're starting to run away with it. I mean, 4-round advantage, and the economy on Fatcloud is in a pretty dire position.
Yep, that CT expense that really isn't something that is favoured most of the time. Even with the full buying up all the time, you can end up winning 10 rounds in a row and still struggling to buy on your 11th if you've lost the one. It's something that I think a lot of frustration can be added, and like you're saying, in the end of the day, 4 or 5 round advantage when you're playing as CT, you're down those 4 or 5 rounds. It really is much more instrumental in the effect that you have in the scenario, that you've got some T guns, some cheaper AKs, and it's just a different way to classify your players, and it's important to do that. And obviously the influence already being there, but now Fatcloud losing their first, you need to make sure that you can maintain that advantage. They're going to take their third, so in the end of the day, VNR's push falling a little bit to the wayside, going individually again. There was a couple of situations there, I think 2 out of the 3 at least, were all one-on-one scenarios, not checking your smoke, not making sure. So it's going to be very difficult to try and get those players. Don't get ahead of yourself too early. We saw them actually losing that advantage when they started doing the individual pushes, after coming back, being 3 all or 4-3, 4 all, and then ending being 10-4. Well, that situation is really dangerous.
Fatcloud in a bit of a dangerous situation, as they've only got one player towards B at the moment. There's a rotation coming through though, and VNR not getting too aggressive on the side, so that means the rotation is going to have time to come through, but they're going to be able to get the bomb down, so at least putting themselves in a position to defend the side. Steve gets one instantly, and Unreal's going to get taken down from behind, so in the end, not going to be too much of a problem. But the economy is still having been built up quite substantially on the side of VNR, so they're going to be able to get a buy-up once again in this one. But like I said in the previous half, the CT is going to have to make sure that they get something consecutive here. They can't win one round and then go on to lose the following one, especially when the game is so far ahead at the moment, and VNR have already got a 3-round advantage, and they're on 12. They need to make sure that they get something going here.
Yeah, we speak time and time again about that maintaining of the pressure that you add, and just being able to create that roller effect once you've got your confidence and you're up in the game, and you're not doing individual pushes but your teamwork's just gelling 10 times better. You find yourself in a really controlling position, being able to take over points of the map, kind of move around wherever you feel, not having to worry too much because somebody's got your back and you'll get the trade. It doesn't frustrate you because you realize obviously immediately that you've now got the advantage, and it's not that scenario, do I have to think extra after the kill comes down, do I have to the smoke, why is it where's the follow-up kill? And here we go, I push onto the site of A once again. Going to be the scenario here as VNR are going to enter with 3 players this time. excuse me, and ensuring that they actually get all the way into the site with the advantage and making sure that they at least can play from a retake position, obviously losing that last one.
Oh man, that was a 5 versus 3 in favor of Fat Cloud, and now it's a 3 versus 2 in favor of VNR all of a sudden. Just some explosive entry fragging coming through from the remaining 3 players, specifically Banana, who's got a 2k. He's still in dead position here. This could be a really huge grenade, as it's okay, it doesn't do too much damage in the end, but it does keep them at bay with the bomb ticking away here. They need to get into the site and get the frags. It's a great cross cover coming out here. Bananas gets himself the third, and keep going to close it out, and this is exactly what I said can't happen to the CTs as they go on to lose the follow round. So they do have some sort of small economy to work with, but yeah, this is really their last full buy, and they need to make sure they lose this round. Then it really should be the end of the first map in favor of VNR, and this is Fat Cloud's map pick. The next map being Train, which is VNR, so they would really like to make sure that they at least put up a decent fight on their own map.
Yeah, very important for that confidence aspect, making sure that you can fully get yourself in a scenario that you are able to at least come back in the next map, don't let it affect you, peak at the right time as 2 players go down from IC's little bit of singular brilliance here, but a thing that we need to make sure is not maintained too often, because at the end of the day, the more individual play you find, the more your team falls apart. Each plays together when you have a full bar. And well, in the end of the day, VNR will be able to take it back, and Icy can EP for the third time, well, at least third time in the kill pool, as he enters into middle, being able to find 3 players not holding weapons in their hands when he initially sees them. And it's really going to be all up to Kenpachi. He's got to get this timing right. He doesn't have control of the bomb, but he does have an advantage with this perspective of Icy having 12 HP.
Yeah, still 45 seconds to work with, so a little bit of time. I think he may have been heard on the drop there, so some information to work with for Fat Cloud. Or in Mexico, not even going to check it, so he's going to get taken down. IC gets himself a 4k, so like you said, a bit of individual brilliance there to get that round for Fat Cloud Gaming. So again, they now, so finally the pressure is going to reveal, and their bank account is going to suffer. There's a full buy coming out from all the players, that's slowy, so they're going to have to at least get something done here. Huge grenades on the side of Fat Cloud as they get a lot of damage done, but still the frags go in the favor of Fat Cloud. How is this happening? They've gotten themselves 2 kills, but coming back into the equation is Icy. Such low HP on the side of down here, which would warrant this skinny force up. Oh, the bomb is just going to go down just before the frag comes through. Icy actually gets him back through the box too. He wasn't even aiming for, so quite interesting turn of events there, but still not going to end as the retake does come through. So VNR are going to be able to buy up quite strongly in the next round, but at least Fat Cloud keeping themselves in it at best.
Yes, it was a very key round for them to maintain, not having that complete strength buy yet, after obviously having the economy knocked down quite a bit and knowing that expensive buy. Now having a double off, but 2 lighter weapons on the side of Stinkwood and Zen could be instrumental if they don't get too up front, and having to play from far angles may cause a bit of a problem. But we've seen that they're able to keep themselves in it, and now they're taking the advantage, as already 2 players from the VNR team are going to drop down as they left behind. Excuse me, they can get 1 and leave 4 HP on Tianqi, as now they still have that 3v3 scenario. Before I say that, 2v3 with 1 person having 4 HP, so a little bit of a hair follicle can be dropped onto him before he's going to drop to the ground.
Well, I hope this does not happen again, and in the end, coming down to 1 versus 1, Banana's not going to be able to close it out. I mean, it just gets to these close situations time and time again where Fat Cloud have got themselves a great advantage, but they aren't able to close it out. So in this case, it doesn't happen, and they get themselves the 12th round, and that was a full buy that came through. So they're slowly starting to build up a decent contest here on their CT side.
Yeah, quite a bit of work still to go. We've got those 5 rounds left, and it's going to be very very much down to the wire in the scenario that the cash flow is pretty evened up for the T side. I mean, I say evened up, it's leveled out to almost forcing itself into a save round, and will only have really the 1 to 2 rounds to work with. They don't want to be doing too many forced scenarios or too many scenarios that they're having to make additional plays with man down. And as I said, that obviously Kenpachi already going to drop to that AWP singular peak, not time to the flash. And well, the AWP at the end of the day, able to pick himself up as Master just opens his bank in a very important round.
And he's holding a great follow-up angle here in apps. He's going to have himself some decent action to work with the second AWP that also rotates around, but Zen is the player to do all the work here. He gets one, but it's not even remotely enough, as he's going to get taken down by the AWP as well. That makes it a 13-13 scoreline. The bomb not even going down, so economy in a dire situation for the terrorists, and they're going to have to save now. So somehow, Fatfly have gotten themselves in a position where they could once again take the lead and possibly make this a 14-13 scoreline. And with them being on that CT side, you would actually start to favour them at this stage. So VNR, they're going to be under pressure, especially considering how far ahead they were. This game has very quickly gotten out of their control, and that may cause a little bit of chaos in their communication camp. But the job's not done yet on the side of Fat Cloud. They do manage to get the first entry there on Icy, really picking up his game as he's just come online, specifically in the second half, up to 21, as well as Meister also on 21, and that's their 2 offers. So the double AWP, we know how powerful it can be on CT Inferno, and when you have both your offers firing like they are here, it is difficult to deal with as a terrorist. Stinkwood gets one as well, so dealing with this save or life buy quite well are the CTs at the moment, not even letting the terrorists get in forward positions on the side, making sure that they keep the essential map control. Stinkwood even going to get aggressive through forward. He's going to find TNT on the balcony. One of the B players being taken down as well, so it's not even looking like BNR are going to be able to find a single frag. Bananas is able to get one, but that's surely all it's going to be, as they now know exactly his position. He also does not have any bomb to work with, so, but he does have an AWP, he gets an AWP, so that certainly enhances his chances of getting a few more frags in the round, perhaps before they do close in on him. There we go, he gets the first one to believe. He knows surely that there's going to be some more at the bottom of the line here. That smoke up is going to create a wall. 15 seconds left, and he's going to have a bit of a struggle to save, although the Tech 9 allows him to get through, and he could get all the way around here, and that looks like he's what exactly he's going to do. So saving the AWP in the end, but VNR are now going to be playing from behind.
Oh, nicely done there by Fat Cloud, just to take the lead since the 6th round. First time that they've gotten themselves back into the front riding horse there, and it's going to be a scenario now that they're going to have only really 1 round of economy coming from VNR. So VNR are going to have to make sure they win this if they even want to have a decent shot at that 30th round or the 29th round. And yeah, some key players coming. Taking in that banana position though, they're obviously quite an important role to play, but the bomb is dropped on Icy. He's another one of those individual players as he takes only 1 down, lowering TNK down to 15 HP, but in the end of the day, the numbers game, as we've seen, has been really down to the actual bodies alive rather than the HP. The players of low HP are able to survive their way through to the bomb plants, and it's one of those days that just happens that you get a couple of lives from the game in question.
Yeah, it's still alive, so gonna have to be dealt with. But VNR, they go back to the slower pace here, as they're just kind of spreading out across the map at the moment. They've got 1 player for position banana, so they want to make sure that they don't get wrapped around. But Meister with the AWP once again going to get a frag here, so Fat Cloud managing to keep the control at the as the game gets to the really important stages. Low HP on TNK, Kenpachi still up towards Banania, so he looks like he's going to be the linchpin in this round, as he's just holding this position with his team rotating around, having created a small diversion towards A rather, but such little time left on the clock, and then Incendiary now being thrown down, it's going to mean they have to really run down into the last stages of the round, and it's coming 20-second mark. The hits are in positions where you can normally get one frag before you get taken down, and he gets one. It's one of the full HPA players as well. That's the problem with him managing to get away. He even gets a second, and his teammate can come through and get a frag as well. So Fat taking themselves to 15, and just showing a really strong CT side, even though they looked like they had their backs up against the wall for quite a long period of time.
Yeah, and so showing some really great character. I mean, you were mentioning earlier they want to make sure that they get a proper push and a proper demonstration on their map pick, and well, they're doing it at the moment. And they need to ensure that they seal it out now. You don't want to put yourselves into the 29th and 30th round really on a scenario where, as you can see, their bar will really be not that strong. So yeah, important rounds ahead, as we can see the way that as well can go into the next map in a situation that if you end up having to force yourself to really struggle through, you can lose a little bit of confidence, and as soon as you do that, your teammates can be a little bit less constructive as you try to think ahead of yourself. And here we go, straight into that next round.
Yeah, looking much more composed on this T round. They've already picked themselves up 3 frags. Game clearly not done yet, showing their intention, and it's the aggressive A play union that works out for them. They managed to pick themselves up 4 already, and the bomb has gone down. Economy not in the best position for the counter-terrorists, so job is going to be made a little bit more difficult in that regard. They're not going to have all the equipment and the full rifle upgrades they would like, so VNR going to give them a little bit more of an opportunity than they would normally have. So are we going to be looking at an overtime here? VNR, they'd be kicking themselves if they didn't manage to take it there, especially considering how long they were ahead for. But at the same time, they haven't lost yet, and just like I said, they still completely have every opportunity to get back in this one with the economy the way it is on the side of Fat Cloud.
Yeah, a little bit of moments of individual brilliance may be the difference here, but on the same exact side, but the opposite end, making sure that it's not a scenario where there is one player pushing without any backup. If you're going to have that situation as Ts, it's going to be really difficult to try and enter into a site with only 3 or 2 Ts, and you know you've got your TT set up with a minimum of 2 players. So those early drop frags can really be the influencing play. Soldan, who has the riskier play that works out best, and RC has found himself several times in a close position of making sure that he can get that initial pick. And before I say that they've taken control of middle has VNR, and they're going to be able to try and enter into the A, but Venon is not looking at the right time. A bomb site, and now Master will actually take a second as slow. He doesn't get his gun into the right position at the right time, and very well done by the CT setup without that full necessary amount of utility out, and that was just all they needed at this point, as they take themselves an advantage point and at least able to try and box in this VNR team. And as we say that would be a play in the opposite direction for VNR, obviously losing that, and nicely done by Fat Cloud. That's going to be us for the 5 or 10 minutes as they do the change up, and we'll see you back with the next map and train. Thanks again for joining us.
This is what it feels like. No, I don't even know if I'm alive. Oh, without you now, this is what it feels like.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with this community shield between VNR and Fat Cloud. And we enter into this Dust 2 map being Dust 2, can you imagine? A train map, as we see a 5-man stack from this Fat Cloud team. They're going to go straight into RV, maybe even do a wraparound through CT. They've got to have so much time, but they don't use much utilities, get shut down. Slowly takes one, and already a second goes down as now that move falls apart as quickly as possible. You can get quickly boxed in if you aren't careful from the way that you can set that a bomb site up, and now a nice bit of shooting here coming from Slow. Unreal surviving on 1 HP, and just as we said in the previous map, those players with the low HP are still the ones coming out at the end of the map, or at the end of the round, and there we go. And just in case you've joined us, this is that match again between FNR and Fat Cloud Gaming, and I am Wham, joining my co-caster, Hayes. Welcome back, Hazzy.
Yeah, I'm excited for this second map here, VNR map pick. They did go down in the first even though they had a decent advantage, so that may chip away at their confidence a little bit, but starting off the second map well, gonna maybe take that mindset, ease the mindset a little bit. CT side of course favored, so that would be a bit of a setback to lose that one, but that is not the case as they give themselves a good start here. Full Tech 9 armor upgrade here from the T's. Gonna get dinked is Slowy, and he's in a forward position here on E-Box. He has got support from one of his teammates who has pushed up to blue train, so just making sure they have some decent emphasis on locking down top dog area A main. They want to not even allow the A's to make the T's rather to make their hits into the A sites, filtering them over towards B where they have two players waiting. And well, once again we see Fat Cloud Gaming in a situation where they have no equipment. They're not going to have any smoke to get them out of T-ramp, so Unreal is going to have a perfect opportunity to spot them out, get some damage done, tons of damage with the follow-up nade as well, and then in the end they are going to shut them down with the UMP. So nice bank build that they're coming out, and Vietnam picking up their second. And I really wish Vietnam would be putting a little bit more emphasis on buying up that equipment.
Yeah, the equipment being something that we know from train often to be a swaying point in the map, and being able to maintain that. I mean, the CTs can definitely make use of a lot more slowing down. Fat Cloud, again, not a single dollar investment in this third round. They're going to go straight back to the other side. That doesn't really work out. Rounders takes down 2 rounds, takes worth of damage. Gets a third at the same time, and at the end of the day, that complete block lack of utility or ability to have a utility changes up everything. And I know you want to try and get the round over with sometimes, but not something that you need to ensure that not to ensure that you're not doing any economical damage. And I mean, a CT team can change it in the ways of play almost immediately if it isn't a danger point enough, as it is how expensive it is. It's important to make sure that you get some form of economical damage, or if not, then at least if you're getting only a singular kill, not that much change because the rebar comes in, something of some confidence to show that you're able to finish off the kills, and obviously scoreboard being there on this 4th round for that Fat Cloud team.
Yeah, and as he's venturing up quite aggressively, they're actually going to get some information and get a pick to follow up. He even gets an opportunity to get his gun out, not going to get the frag though, so Fat Cloud now with that man advantage in the round. Still a lot of time to work with, but some aggressive angles all around here from both the teams. Fat Cloud going straight to A off the back of their 2 picks and going to go try straight for the Sanchez, believe, and he's going to get punished for that. But still, in the end, the refrags coming out on top for Fat Cloud. Kenpachi all the way in Ivy here, and this is actually a really great angle for him to work with, being able to get one of the unsuspecting players here, and that's exactly the case. The communication is slow to come through, but Icy flips around and picks up a crucial headshot onto Kenpachi, who really going to kick himself after that one. So Fat Cloud Gaming picking themselves up first round in quite controversial fashion in the end, and getting themselves in it on that first fire round once again, just like in the last map, as they're going to get a pipe once again, and they are a team who, well, personally, you'd expect them to have a really strong T side. They've got strong entry fraggers. They're very aggressive naturally, as we've seen. So that favors your T side play for sure. But we saw that they were extremely competent on their CT side as well. But now Tianqi, the AWP this time, he's going to get a pick onto Icy. So advantage going the way of VNR quite early on in the round. P90 on Slowy, so bit of a change up coming there, and well, the equipment has run quite thin for both teams, so it's going to be coming down to those raw aim duels later on in the round, as we're still fairly early on.
Yeah, again we go back to that situation. Utilities can be in. Only having a couple of flashes to enter into a site really gives that advantage to CT, never mind the one-man advantage. And only having the singular anchor and B obviously picking up the communication to get the map control of the CTs, Unreal allows himself up until that point that he gets retraded back, and a second player going down on that pop dog area. So Stinkwood also going to level it out for the T team, and now they can change it up and force themselves into a position of not having a point of being outnumbered, is entering into sight. Very key points that this our team is losing these rounds. That 3rd and 4th phase, that one just before the bomb, being sometimes a little bit of a problem without that utility.
Oh man, Fat Cloud getting themselves back into it once again. This time it's VNR who are losing their advantages. Fat Cloud have now brought it to a 3 versus 2, but Tianqi with the AWP getting some work done once again, 2 versus 2. Oh, Stinkwood may get dropped down here. He's not aware there is a player going to come down the ladder, and he is going to take him down. So now advantage going the way of VNR once again, 2 versus 1. Master Jaeger, all that is left, but he is pushing up pretty decently here. Not going to be expected by Tianqi, so bringing it to a 1 versus 1 bomb, not even remotely planted for him. Solano's also with a kit to work with. He's going to take him down running from CT train. So VNR going to be picking up their 4th towards a pretty late retake in the end, but still going to be completed nonetheless, and saving the AWP as well. So good on VNR coming back into this one, not going to let things spiral out of control like it did happen on the first map. And yeah, now again we spoke a lot about that economy, making sure that they build that up here on the CT side, because that's actually what fell by the wayside on that first map. They on B side, the economy just wasn't built up substantially enough for them to have sufficient equipment to work with, and before they knew it, the scores were level, and that just played on their mindsets too heavily. So they need to make sure that they don't find themselves in a similar position in eco round coming through for Fat Cake Gaming. So that means Fat Cloud rather, as they are heavily disadvantaged.
Yeah, important to try and get those additional rounds, as we're saying quite a few times in the recent past, of all the number of games that have played, ensuring that you take the rounds that you are able to, don't win the ones you shouldn't, don't lose the ones you shouldn't. And I know it's easier said than done, so it sounds rather simple, but when it comes down to those rounds where you are advantage due to a simple miscommunication, that can change everything, especially on these T-sided, more advantaged maps at least. And trying to be able to get those important T rounds, don't let that CT build up the economy, has been creating momentum, as obviously, as we know, entering into this A-bomb side, if you can get in there just before the CTs are even set up, you can create a hell of a lot of play, whereby you're causing the CTs to rotate before they even set up, and then you're only going to end up leaving your anchor in B, and that can force another play. So it's going to be important to have the economy really low down for that Fat Cloud Gaming, and we're going to make sure that with these utilities they have four smokes, which are obviously the key elements, but if they enter into the site that they've been looking for, they might not do anything, as they already start to force the rotations coming from A, and 3 of the players are going to move as VNR set up for that retake. Yeah, those vital utilities that are not going to come through here at all. On top of the fact that A setup is pretty strong. I mean, Bananas alone 11 for 1 in that scenario that just allows his team to not let the T's be able to push into almost any position, and he's able to clutch out a couple of rounds and get that advantage to initial kill. But as I say that, obviously we can see Fat Cloud entering inside and getting bond down with 5 players alive before. Obviously the AWP takes 1, maybe even a second here, as Unreal is going to help Tianki just to assist their team and get that advantage so that they don't have to fight off against the bomb plant too late in the round.
And the other one in the B holes at the moment, just giving IC support. So it is that slow play that comes through, and this is more structured. This is going to give them a better opportunity than going for that more aggressive play straight into one of the sites.
Yeah, that is a very vital situation here. That if you're going to be able to try and get in and have utilities, you can set up a completely different play. But we're also finding that they're able to maintain the utilities and then get into site without using any of them, but dropping a play or two. Now, obviously, that's a little bit counterproductive because you're getting these slow plays set up. So you need to make sure you're executing with the flashes, with the decoys, throw in the right players at the right time, and the double op going to be vital to try and get that initial play. Otherwise, getting stuck very close up front in Ivy could force a bit of a situation that you're ending up eliminating the purpose, excuse me, of your AWP altogether.
B-side is nice, he's not going to check his corners, and that's going to cost him as Bananas gets an easy frag there. So 4 versus 5 early on in the stage of the execution here, but the A hit is going to be what's coming forward. I believe gets 2, so giving them a good opportunity here. Kenpachi going to get 1 as well, but still the favor going the way of not until Unreal gets 1, so lots of trade frags back and forth here. 12 seconds left, I'm going to be going down, and some decent post-plant positions here for the terrorists, specifically Believe, who's under Heaven Stinkwood on the bomb train. He's going to get taken down, so all up to Believe. He's going to get double peaked, but doesn't even happen in the end. Bananas, all that needs to happen is he takes both the frags, and he really has second best 14 for 1. Like you were saying, there's not much you can do as a terrorist side when a CT player is just going so crazy, and yeah, lots of troubles going to be coming their way if Bananas is able to keep up at such a rate for the rest of the map. As 8-1 at the moment, and now even as they get the bomb down, they're not even able to keep the site post-plant, so they have been struggling quite a lot on this T side, and like I said, they need to go back to the drawing board, and looks like it may be that simple A execution. Quite a lot of people backing out outside here, lining up a few smokes, so it's something that they haven't tried too frequently just yet, that Pop Dog control as well as Ivy, and coming out A main altogether, but double orb still in the mix here for VNR, so the A is not as heavily in their control at the moment, and it's going to have to take a lot of work to change that in Fat Cloud's favor. Smokes do come over now, and VNR respond with some Molotovs and grenades of their own. Smokes, they're going to start participating soon, so they can come through, and it does begin now. They're going into the A side. The two of them are really taking on. Bananas and Slowy both chiming in with 1. Slowy going to be able to follow it up as well, so Fat Cloud not able to make it work on the back of equipment, but slowly but surely they're getting some frags along the board. Stinkwood picking up a double, taking it to a 2 versus 2, so they may be able to retrieve the site here and get the bomb down. Still 45 seconds and some decent equipment to work with. Still 2 incendiaries, that's going to be a big nade. That may even get a frag, and it's going to be exactly that. All that's remaining is Unreal with the AWP, and he's going to have to get the 1 versus 2 clutch here if he's going to deny this round. Fat Cloud Gaming, it's not going to be the case. He's going to get taken down. Stinkwood remaining on 4 HP is going to get the ace as well, so really well done by him, and sometimes it takes that small moment of individual brilliance from one player in the team to boost the confidence of all the players, and not much of an economy to work with here for VNR, so a vital round coming up here in the 11.
Yeah, perfectly done by Fat Cloud, just to be able to level out that economy on the perspective of VNR. If they can maintain just keeping a couple of frags going now all the time, or to string them together. There we go. Isaac does get his initial play early, and he's actually going to open up the B bomb site completely, but that bomb is sitting in a little bit of a backward position, obviously not expecting to be able to have so much fuel. He might even be able to stop the fact that the A bomb site is obviously a potential rotation to come through, but slowly going to sit towards Pop Dog and come up as slowly as he possibly can before this retake. And Kenpachi going to be able to fall down at 2 HP again. One of those situations you just have a little bit of HTP, but a little bit is enough. As now 3 versus 3, bomb is down, and the rotations have come in perfect time just to rotate and force the CTs to look into different positions. And now at 2 versus 2, but it's all going to come down to the flame. He doesn't realize that it explodes at exactly the same time as the push comes through. And now a 3rd and 4th round being picked up consecutively. Second consecutively by this Fat Cloud team, and as you were saying, important to be able to string those rounds together. They're going to need to get 1 or 2 more. They've put VNR onto the back foot with regards to economy, and now vital to maintain it there, or there could be just a short-lived glory.
Yeah, but I mean, this comeback has already started quite well for them. They're looking at getting themselves to 8-4 here, considering it was an 8-1 scoreline a mere 2 rounds ago. They're quite happy with that, so when they continue, and it all has been on the back of that Stinkwood ace. So he's going to continue forward, getting another frag here, and all the players just asserting their dominance here up against the pistols. They're not afraid to get up close to them. They're getting in their faces and taking them down, not even going to be losing a single player, so that's going to bode quite well for their economy. And I'm not sure if VNR are going to be able to buy up here. They are indeed. So they're going to have enough money to maybe get a glass cannon AWP as well if they're going to want that, but at least they will have a full house of M4s and some decent equipment. Actually going to opt for the UP there is Unreal to make sure he can get some full equipment, and sometimes, I mean, it's even a viable weapon to trade up the M4 for certain positions. Even if you're struggling a little bit, it could be one of those scenarios you want to give yourself a different weapon to work with, but regardless, Cloud have managed to get themselves a bit of rhythm here, and this would be a big round for them to pick up. They could really solidify themselves in this half if they could pick up this round.
That's so very true. We're seeing time and time again, just maintaining the ability to be in a site where the CTs are able to rotate players and positions, not allowing the Ts to come in and just pre-aim and pre-fire certain positions, can almost be forced up. Sometimes you don't even realize you're becoming static, and that's why you've lost those last couple of rounds. And changing up your weapon can just get you in a position of changing up how far off you are playing from that T entry point. And it's going to be key and vital now, obviously after dropping a bit more of a stronger weapon, they're Unreal, and now a second one onto Tianki, as that that UMP might just become a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, certainly not a weapon that you want at range, and it looks like it's going to be an A hit to come through here. At least he is able to get one, so only reducing it to that one-man advantage now. Fat Cloud still trying to get control of the A side, not the case just yet. Zen sitting around the edge of the smoke here. That's going to mean he cost his teammates life. Kenpachi even comes back to seconds and takes Zen. Oh, the AWP and Meister, he doesn't click, he weapon swaps too early. That costs him a frag as well, so things really not going the way of Fat Cloud at latter parts of this round. I believe he's managed to get across straight to B, and he may even be able to get the bomb down here. He does get across to an NTP site, so bomb going to go down here, and he may be able to lock it down. He's probably heard Unreal pushing to this forward position and just dance himself around the bomb train, but as he pushes too far forward, slowly with the AWP gets the frag, so VNR getting back into it, and they're not going to let Fat Cloud get too far ahead of themselves with that 3 rounds in a row.
I think it's going to be down to Fair Cloud to try and get that 6. I think they were close enough, away, or let's say far enough away from that position of getting that 6 rounds, that if they get onto that 6, that 9-6 scoreline and pick up the pistol, they really are in a good running. And we saw them have a great CT setup for Inferno. I mean, they can set up these positions in perspective of almost bomb range, or gun battle range. B is very similar to the B bomb site here, where you're playing really up close and personal, and the utility use hasn't really come out in complete favor yet for Fat Cloud, and it's going to be key for them to use that with their CTs, and that can change up a hell of a lot, especially after not putting as many T rounds as they did in the first map for their half. But it's going to be vital to see that setup coming through again.
Yeah, well, the half is not done just yet, but yeah, aggressive. Pacific and Real is going to be able to get a frag as well. Doesn't even trade it out just yet, he even gets a double, so going way above and beyond here, going to get complete ladder control, and that's going to really throw a spanner in the execution here of Fat Cloud Gaming. They're still not even able to get him down, so that's a real problem. Although if they are able to get him down, the B control relinquished by VNR, but still Bananas is going to make sure that even if it is the case, they're only going to have 2 players to work with. Then I'll start going into B, but it is too little late, as they only have 2 players remaining. They may be able to get the bomb down, but not out with their economy in the final round, but rather going to go for the Angel, and he's going to get taken down, putting his teammate Meister in a pretty unwinnable position, as he's got a 1 versus 5 to work with here, back really up against the wall, and yeah, it's just a matter of time. He's able to get 1, but not anything else. So 10-4 is the scoreline. Going to be going to the final round of the second map's first half, as Well, Vienna have been pretty dominant so far, and an 11-4 scoreline would certainly favour them.
Yeah, strong performance coming out from VNR, and something we've seen quite a few times happening in the last few days. Just teams really representing on their own maps, and if the situation you're not winning yours, it actually seems to be the scenario you'll play well in opposition anyway. So there's been some tight map ups, and well, Fat Cloud are going to go straight in for their control as I try to put it all up together. Icy and Real going to get themselves initial picks for their teams respectively, but we're going to see an unfortunate Icy play going into a position where the retake is as possible before any more damage happens, and now a 3 versus 3 with those important retake positions.
Vienna have been decent with their retakes so far on trains, so continuing forward here, Kenpachi just picking up an interesting double there. He pretty much sorts out the round. Zen, he's still in heaven here, so they're able to cause a bit of shenanigans, gets the diffuser, but he's going to get taken down by Tianki all the way in the back of insides. So, you're not going to close out the... He did not get the defuse. Oh, we get a little bit of ahead of ourselves. Kenpachi doesn't close it out, and how important might that be? Did they not have enough time, or did they not get on the defuse quick enough?
They were completely out of time. I think it was just a scenario. Yeah, and unfortunately that play out of the connector almost didn't get that T in time. So it was a bit of a problem. Obviously, knowing that the rotations are going to come in hard and fast, and Banana's going for a little bit of a push, try and catch him from behind, and that didn't work out in their favor.
Yeah. So going straight into this second pistol round, and Fat Cloud Gaming getting an extra round there at the end of the half. So that's going to give them a bit of confidence. They split 3-2 here, so they're not going to be committing to the A hold. And Vienna, they're going to be doing the ladder drop here. 3 players following up with the bomb straight onto the A side of the back with a single smoke, and it's all up to can get the initial frags here. Still nothing going down just yet. Trading frags over back and forth. So 4 versus 4 at the moment. Bomb going to be able to go down just back of the train here. But before I say that, Icy gets on. But like I said, trade frags is the name of the game at the moment. 2 versus 2 all of a sudden, and Bananas is going to be able to get a nice one tap there onto Icy, and all that's remaining is opportunity to take it to the 1v1, but going to miss the shot, so not going to be the case, and Bomb finally going to go down, but he does not have a kit to work with, and he does get spotted up by Unreal. Now the Beagle is going to find the frag, so Vienna picking up the second pistol round of the second map, so that always gives your team a great shot at closing out the map, as we're going to see a full buy coming out now from Fat Cloud Gaming. So it looks like it's going to be a little bit more difficult than the Inferno case was for them to come back on that T side, and Vienna an opportunity now to really run away with the second map.
Some vital plays going to be needed from Fat Cloud to be able to take us back. It's a scenario obviously that is not that easy to repeat it too many times. CT is getting full control of Pop Dog and going straight. Do they get one in a second actually? And they even take out a third? They do, as the situation is falling a little bit to pieces for VNR as they're trying to line up, and now all 5 players drop with only 1 going down from Fat Cloud. So it really was a really perfectly executed scenario from Fat Cloud to be able to push straight through B and into Pop Dog, down into A, and unfortunately for VNR, they were set up exactly in a position for them to get boxed into a very small room. 1-2 peaked individually, unfortunately, because that's just the way it was, blocking at the door, and in the end of the day that A bomb side not even being able to put a bomb down. Double line up by E-Box, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, that was brutal. They should have given themselves more information. They just played too quickly, and that plays into the hands of a force buy from the opposite team. So they themselves, they're not going to reply with the force. They're going to go for the full eco here. And is there yet a twist in the tail once again? Fat Cakes getting themselves back in it on the full force. Okay. Got 2 players over towards B here, but Bananas is going to be able to take down one of them, so they get a 1-man advantage now, and they could manage to get over across on the side. Bananas going to continue with a nice spray through the smoke there, get themselves another. Meister is the flanking player around, and it's always really difficult to hold the B side, specifically with pistols, but one of the players actually getting blocked, but the takedown is slowly going to get some good work done, but in the end, the SMGs are prevailing. Man, slowly and just yet with the Tech 9, he's still getting forward. Then a beautiful shot there. One tapping Stinkwood, just drive-by shooting. picking up a 1 versus 2 and a full etho coming out from VNR there is what's going to win them around, and that is insane because when you win a full force and you give yourself an opportunity now against a full eco as the CTs, when you're playing from behind, there's no question you need to win that round. That's not even something you can consider losing, and now that they've lost that, it's really going to hinder their chances at closing out the second map.
Yeah, key plays from VNR. Just before I said that, obviously that Vaccloud have to have some key plays themselves. They weren't able to do that, and now they're in that fight back situation where it's really seeming a little bit past the chances, and they're going to have to try and get some amazing, extraordinary individual play or executing something from the CT's perspective on your retakes. And at the moment, we haven't seen this map just yet. So it has been 2 or 3 of those rounds now where it's a back and forth play scenario where it's not supposed to really have been, and it should have been a little bit simpler for VNR, but at the end of the day, well, I guess you're going to have those rounds. You should be winning as you're coming back, but if they goes the other way, and you've just lost something difficult as VNR did, they shouldn't have been doing that. They end up coming back and just forcing themselves into controlling aspect once again, and then now you've got that situation that you've got Vaccloud really having to force their way through and not much to work with after that.
Yeah, Vaccloud certainly can't afford to lose another round, especially in the next 4 or 5. They need to really start closing that deficit, and if they can't do that, can't start that process in this round, then the game would just be too far gone. But that's not the case just yet. They've got full rifles across the board, 2 FAMASs, 1 AWP, 2 M4s to work with, so not much equipment though. That's a problem because it's always nice to keep the T's out of those choke points by throwing some smokes and incendiaries, but they're going to be relying on the guns mostly in this scenario. AWP Meister is the anchor in the sights, and he's actually got himself 1 frag already, so that's going to put VNR on the back foot, but they are going to be faking towards B. They actually get a frag as well, so that's going to force some rotations across. That's Bananas once again getting some work done, and they're going to continue forward on the B side here, but not going to be fixed. Oh, beautiful shots from Unreal. He just manages to switch straight across there and taking off the head, I believe. And they've managed to actually lock down the B side long enough for the bomb to get across, so it's not even going to be the fake in the end. This is where the full execution's coming through. Bananas getting another one. 3 versus 2 here. He's not done yet. He's all the way in the advanced position in the side. He's going to be taking down the AWP as well, so going to be swapping out for that weapon. And 1 versus 3 things with VNR just beautifully shutting them out of this round. Stinkwood able to get 1, but he's just too far away to have any more influence in the round, and that's going to be VNR getting themselves to that 14th round.
Yeah, expensive CTs are really not something that allows you to fall back onto a couple of rounds, especially after losing a forced buy-up almost in the scenario that they won a round they shouldn't have, had a couple extra guns, forced the economy all the way into that investment, losing that to come back, and now in a situation that they really don't have anything pretty to try and fight off, and going to really have to work around that AK, allow themselves to get 1 or 2 early frags, or at least some frags on the initial push to be able to shut them out. But in the end of the day, it's coming down to VNR's strength on this map, and they really did demonstrate that, not really showing too much of a hindering spirit at all after that first map.
Yeah, and that's good to see. I mean, this is their map pick as well, so we expected some confidence in them in that regard, and well, we're not going to have to guess who won that one, of course, in the end. VNR able to come out on top, and that's going to mean we're going to be going to a 3rd map, which will be Cash. So we will be waiting patiently for that, and as soon as we're ready to go with that map, we will be back. So guys, we will be seeing you soon. Apologies for the laggy stream as well, just the scenario at the moment. Unfortunately, this is the best we can do, but tomorrow we should be back with a full quality stream. So we'll be seeing you guys in the 3rd map. Cheers.
This is what it feels like. No, I don't even know if I'm alive. Oh, without you now, this is what it feels like.
Welcome back, everybody, to this third and final map between VNR and Fat Cloud Gaming in the lower bracket of the Community Shield, powered by Telkom. So, let's not waste any time. The knife round going the way of Fat Cloud Gaming, I believe. So they're going to be starting on that CT side, and we've actually haven't seen them start on the CT side yet. They've started on the T side in the past 2 maps. So it's going to be interesting to see how that changes things and how that affects them. Not going to have any kit to work with, rather going to go with the equipment and 4 pieces of armor, and they're going to be sending 2 players towards A, so they're not going to be playing that retake strategy. That doesn't look like it's going to make too much of an initial difference, as the bomb has gone towards B from VNR, and yeah, I think this is going to be quite a strong map pick for VNR. It's one of those maps that's been in the pool for a very long time. These players are all extremely experienced on it, and if they are capable of making some coordinated hits, I think they have got big things coming this way, and it's going to be the B player. So first frag going their way, Kenpachi getting that, and they managed to force the second player out of Heaven, so they may be able to get across into the side shell off the back of the CT smoke. Only the Heaven player with an opportunity and Stinkwood is going to grab it by getting a frag, so making it a 4 versus 4 before the bomb does go down. Like I said, they don't have that kit to work with, so they're going to have to find the frags earlier on here. All 4 of the players coming from the CT position here, so they're going to have to make sure that they don't go down one by one as they enter. They manage to get themselves the first onto slowly. The bomb is planted for checkered, so they're going to have to. So he's going to go for the 10-second defuse, and he'll get 5 seconds left to go. The Deagle has been missing his shots and not going to get the frag. One person, the Bananas, who isn't, he's on Heaven. He's not going to be able to get the shots. He's going to be defused. Somehow, Fat Cloud Gaming are going to come out with the round. Even though Bananas felt like he was probably in such a strong position there, coming out in Heaven, still not going to be able to deny the defuse, and, well, Fat Cloud going to be getting the first round of the 3rd map.
Very risky players, unfortunately, coming out from VNR, and the perspective that they use that Deagle. And we know that when you're trying to defend the bomb from an angle and the gun has to be shot really slowly, if you're going to try and kill that bomb planted before he gets his teammate to support him, it's going to be vital to get those shots off. And it didn't work out, and that Deagle, in the end of the day, obviously not making too much of a difference for head armor, but a play straight into this A bomb site as they're going to open up only 2 players alive. The last one now, Slowy does not do anything more. And at the end of the day, VNR not able to seal a 2nd round in a row. Obviously expected not to necessarily do too much damage on that save, but now down to the bar, the full bar almost, and it's going to be a 3rd round battle.
Yeah, they go for the full eco off the back of that plant, so going to be getting into the buy early on here, and an opportunity to get quite an early foothold on the round. I mean, having a look at the weaponry on Fat Cloud Gaming, not much to speak of. Some MP9s as well as 1M42 for masters, and not too much equipment, so VNR would like to rectify their early on mistakes. They go for some strong middle controllers. They manage to get themselves 2 initial frags. The player in the vent decides to back away, so that secures them that middle control, and they're going to be going up towards highway on A. Only Zen, the remaining A player, and he's going to have multiple angles to check the real defense on his hands. He manages to hold on this pace, somehow getting a 3k, going absolutely way above and beyond it, and completely shutting down Vienna single-handedly. Tianki not able to get back into it, as he's only able to find one game. He's picking up the first buy round, and you feel like that is going to do a lot of damage to the morale of VNR.
Well completed by that Fat Cloud Gaming team. I mean, they made sure that once they got that advantage and they were able to shut out those 3 players, they didn't allow that singular player to cause damage more than just getting the initial fragger. And yeah, well, that's the situation. That's the way it's got to work. And this is a map that things can change. Get full control and lose it as quickly as you got it. So it's going to be vital to make sure that they reset themselves, and like you're saying, don't let that destroy your morale too much. Get into the side, get your initial players, players getting their team to work really well. And at that point, they've only got the 1 frag and not looking like they're going to get the bomb down. It's a little bit of a precarious position. They've got their final player being Bananas. It's going to be taken down to the scenario of a 4-0 lead.
Yeah, and we know what early leads can do in a deciding map. It can really give teams a big advantage. So Fat Cloud starting out so well here on the CT side is going to give them a pretty powerful mindset. So another buy coming out once again. This time they have more equipment to work with. Still no AWP though, so Meister's going to have that have an easier time in middle in that regard, dealing up against the AKs. Having said that, there is a lot of emphasis coming through from VNR, so specifically in the boost position here, Icy is going to be the first one to take some kills. He's jumping up and he doesn't get taken down immediately, but only able to get one, and I feel like he may have been able to get a little bit more there had he been more patient and calm with his shots, but not the case in the end. So that's going to mean middle is completely open. Specifically, both teams not really having any interest. He's going towards Vents at the moment. Stinkwood, he's going to be watching that and manages to get a frag and get away from his life. Although he does go for a mistake and he gets taken down. Believer's going to be making it a bit more of a better situation as he picks up a double. Unreal able to trade it out, but he gets taken down to 32 HP nonetheless. So he's going to have to close out a 1 versus 3 clutcher in a pretty difficult situation. Up against the open M4, then he's pushing up aggressively here. He doesn't know that he's so close. Unreal's able to get a lot of damage done, but not get the frag. Does get brought down to 24 HP as well. So getting some decent damage done, but still 1 versus 2 nonetheless. Does have time to work with 33 seconds. He could also cross without anybody getting him. So that may be the case. If he's able to get the bomb down at least here, he's going to be giving VNR some sort of economy to work with, and looks like that's going to be the case. So with 20 seconds left, bomb's going to go down and it's going to have to be the retake. Zen able to get into checkered as well as the AWP in heaven. Unreal pushing up. Oh my word, he manages to slip through CT. They're certainly not going to be expecting this. If he could get behind the player in heaven, he could cause a world of trouble. Then now Zen starts to push through. He realizes what's up. He gets the first and really nice choice there by Unreal to go for the back player. Although he is the low HP, sticking the defuse is Meister. He's going to get to he decides to pull off. Surely this is going to cost him, and it does. Unreal, he gets the clutch. The 1 versus 3. Oh man, if Meister had just continued to stick that defuse, he would have got it in time. Not going to be the case, and that's going to be devastating for Fat Cloud Gaming.
Unfortunate scenario there, but in the end of the day, very, very well played by Unreal. He got his timing right, and I mean, we often refer to that Counter-Strike luck of timing where you'll peak in a position for 4 hours, and the second you move away, 2 players will peek you and pre-fire it. In this case, it ends up working just that perfect placed time for Unreal to be able to move into CT, take his position, and in the end of the day, making a good choice, not panicking in that moment where you need to make your decision on who to shoot. So, yeah, some very good play coming out, an important play for them as they lost the round they really wanted to take with their initial buy round.
Managing to buy up once again here and getting themselves in an advantage. Nice shot there by Believer with the AWP. Let's get more work done, and that Molly's going to flush him out, so he's going to get taken down, and that means that B is now open. So maybe with an opportunity through the smoke here, but oh yes, he is able to get it in the smoke. Anticipated. They don't have any more to work with. Up close, he's going to be able to find another one and even gets the third. So getting a 4K in the end and getting Fat Cloud straight back into it. Really nicely done by them, and making sure that VNR aren't able to immediately get back into it off of that clutch. And you know, sometimes as the terrorists, you want to feed off the confidence you get from one of your players clutching in. When the opposite team is able to come back into it so strongly, only dropping 2 players and building up their economy, then it is quite a devastating loss. But now they are on that eco going for the immediate mid control, but they've already lost 2 players. They lose a third even, so not going to be able to get any forward control as their whole team's already gone down.
Great plays coming from Fat Cloud, making sure that they maintain that lead and that pressure, not allowing those pistols to do any damage up front or in the distance shots. So yeah, that control in the middle being a vital role as it's playing in favour obviously of this Fat Cloud team, and we're just obviously not seeing VNR able to string too much together to maintain anything more of a situation where a massive play coming out from Unreal was really the only thing they have on the scoreboard. It's going to be key to make sure that they maintain some form of team structure and be able to break into those sites with more than just the 2 players alive, and then have a situation to get in those post plants and allow these AWPs and the setup coming from Fat Cloud just to shut them out completely.
I mean, and this is one of the rare occasions that the T side is having to double eco. So just showing that things are really not going their way at the moment. Bananas with a nice one tap there. May even be able to get a follow-up game. He does, so things are looking up a little bit here for the T side. The AWP is going to be able to bring it back, but control firmly in the hands of the T side on the A side. Bomb, oh, fully flashed, but not going to make a difference. Icy timing his shot to perfection there. Still a double AWP to work with, which is not the ideal retake preference, but not making much of a difference at the moment. Icy with the 5-7 just going ham, picking up a double, even turning it into a triple, and that actually means he's gotten the ace. So single-handedly, even though they lost 2 initial frags, he is brings them back into the retake and picks them up their 7th. So we're going to see the full buy coming out now from VNR, but Fat Cloud Gaming already getting themselves in a decent position. And just on another note, just would like to congratulate FaZe as they've just won the Star Ladder I-League Season 3, beating Astralis in the Grand Final 2-1. So congratulations to them, finally Astralis being dethroned. But let's get back to this game. We're at a really vital stage now on this third map.
Yeah, important plays are going to be needed from VNR to take back away this lead that has been created by Fat Cloud. I mean, they haven't been able to do too much breaching, allowing quite a lot of players to go down early plays, and RC obviously from his individual bit of brilliance just made sure he sealed their 7th round of the 8th, and obviously not allowing that bit of individual brilliance coming from the opposite side from Unreal to be able to their balance or their team play. And as we say that's already leveled out, and now actually something different, not allowing the force or the let's say the battle to come into the middle area, and rather do it on the retake or fighting off from your positions in A. In this case, obviously being those positioning plays from A, it will be important to see how they can seal the site as they have control of main. And I was going to take it on again with that 5-7 would have been a bit of an additional difference in Unreal on 3 HP, forcing another scenario where Master is able to get another frag damage from the net down Unreal, and now a 1 versus 2 and a very important bananas play is going to be needed.
Yeah, like you said, a really important round here. VNR to go down, Bananas to position now compromised, and he's going to get taken down. So he even had the bomb, and he could have probably got it down as well, but decides to go for the duels instead. And just having a look at the frags, I mean, Kenpachi, Tianki, Slowy, all 4 of them, or all 3 of them rather, not really coming to the party, where on the opposite end you've got Meister and Icy still continuing that Inferno form and top fragging quite heavily. I mean, look at Zen, he's on 5 frags, but that triple spray down he got when he single-handedly kept A were 3 huge frags. Now, even though he's at the bottom of the scoreline, he's gotten those 20 frags, but we see a force bar coming up from VNR. They've already lost 1 player, at least they're able to get 1 back, and that means that they've got control of the side. So it's going to have to be a retake once again from Fat Cloud. They don't have much equipment left. They also at least have got kits rather, so that means they're going to have that extra time to work with. Bomb only going down now, so all of the players are pretty close up positions, which means they're not going to have to waste any time to get into the site. As one of the players in heaven, oh, Unreal just missing all of his shots on the spray. That means his teammate is going to go down, and all that's left is Bananas in a 1 versus 3. He manages to pick up the first 2. Bomb is also planted for him, and he may be able to cause some more chaos here, as the diffuse is not being stuck just yet. So they're still giving him some time to work with here. He may get flanked, and he is going to be, as Fat Cloud out of 5 their 9th, and well, I'm going to be eating my words soon, as I said VNR, well, they should be fairly strong on this map, but just proving to be fairly lackluster on this T side at the moment. I mean, some of the rounds have been quite close, and they've come down to Fat Cloud clutches, but still, you need to be closing out at least a few of them, as this is the 3rd and final map.
Yeah, unfortunate for some of the scenarios. I mean, Unreal in the end of the day pulling out a great move to get them 1 round, but then missing a whole bunch of really key shots on a player that it dropped from heaven. And in the end of the day, those key basics are what changes up the information in the map. And as we look at that, 3 players already going down, just being a great controlled setup coming from Fat Cloud. And in the end of the day, it's all the basis of that the team is working together, and there's nobody that's following up trying to position. At the end of the day, they're not going to get away almost almost with his life, but he gets Stinkwood down to that 15 HP, and in the end of the day, it's now left to Unreal to do a 1v5 scenario where he's getting completely boxed. And it's going to come from that is now, like you said, something that I don't think VNR would have expected. I think they would have expected themselves to be on a level or higher playing field when they knew that they were going into Cash as the third map. And combining even the frags of VNR, you're not meeting the top two fraggers of Fat Cloud. So the scoreboard being really all she wrote when it looks at the scoreline, and it really, really is something that is of similar definition looking at both.
VNR now in that forced mindset. We've seen them go for this by time and time again. Galil's UMPs, not much equipment to work with. They get themselves one, but still the trade frags going the way of Fat Cloud. It's up to Bananas to try and rectify the situation. He's able to get one with the Tech 9, and he's wrapping around quite aggressively here, but he's going to get taken down as well. So 3 versus 2 here. Kenpachi on Highway is going to be able to find one at least. So again, coming down to this 2 versus 2 scenario. But advantage still the way of the terrorists, at least in this case, because of course not much information to work with for Fat Cloud here, so they could work with one another to get onto that A side. Kenpachi is going to be timing. Is he going to get taken down? He is. That's so unfortunate from Zedkita, and off that smoke they don't know where the remaining player is, and they still have some decent equipment to work with, so they're going to be able to flush on this position before they start making their retake a decent nade. Takes Unreal down to 71 HP, so he's already been dealt a bit of damage, and he only has the Galil to work with, so he's not going to have that one tap potential. And although he finds one frag, Meister almost instantaneously getting the refrag and taking Cloud to the 11th. So I mean, they've already have a really decent halftime score on their hands. I mean, and they don't look like they're slowing down. They've really got VNR in a corner here, and if they continue to just pick up these early frags and close out these clutches, then they're going to be looking at a really hefty halftime score.
Yeah, you don't want to be leaving that final third map to a scenario of if you don't win the pistol round, you don't have anything to even fall back onto. You need a little bit of a leeway situation where you can find your way back and get a couple of those chipping down rounds, as we said. That VNR look like they're going to go straight in through smoke, and if this works out, they'll be something you would expect to always survive with 5 players alive. Sprayed out coming from Zen as the site is opened up for the perspective, and the bomb does go down at least onto the floor without a plant. And now once again within a matter of seconds, I'm pretty sure saying this 4 seconds ago, they were on a 2 and 2, and now within 2 seconds of this round we're back onto that position, and it's all going to be down to Stink. He's going to spray through the smoke, and it doesn't land, but the bomb still hasn't been planted, and in the end of the day, we have a minute left, which sounds quite ridiculous to think that that's how much time remains after 8 players have gone down, and a final 1 versus 1 with something that Stinkwood maybe picking up from Unreal, doing a little bit of a wraparound. He might catch Tianqi off guard as he's going to wait down to the last 20 seconds, but is that going to be good enough, as he's not going to question his own logic?
Tianqi is really expecting him to come from Highway or CT, so he could completely get caught off guard here. Stinkwood's in a main, he just spots out the head, and he's going to get the clutch once again. So I mean, like I said, the rounds have been close. VNR are going to be so frustrated with the scoreline, because it's really, they have given themselves good opportunities, but when it comes down to those last few frags, they're not able to get it done. So 12-1 scoreline at the moment, not really fair to show how close this game has been, but Meister 23 and 8, 16 and 7 on IC, and difficult to play against that. I mean, usually when you have one player going crazy, it's generally on the T side, but to have one man just doing so much work on the CT side makes T side really difficult to deal with, because it doesn't matter where he is, he's just completing retakes, so he's holding down his site really well. Already Vienna have lost 2 players, and that's just been the name of the game so far. Even though Tianqi gets the jump on Icy, he still gets taken down, and that just shows the confidence level at the moment. Reactions not on point. Unreal's going to get taken down as well by Meister, so slowly all that's left is 1 versus 4, and he's going to get taken down. So 13-1 scoreline, and this has been a really, really astounding third map. I'm shocked, to be honest. I didn't expect it to be so heavily one-sided, even though it has been close. Like I keep saying, 13-1 is definitely a difficult scoreline to swallow.
It's going to be fun to go into that CT defense knowing you only have one round to work with, or maybe two. But in the end of the day, it builds the strength and the character of your team. And we haven't seen the scenario, but when it happens, it is very, very important to make sure you maintain it, because those 14 rounds away seem far away when you look at it now. But you can look in 20 minutes' time, it can be a completely different story. So not too early is can be a rather difference between changing over in halves, but in the end of the day, about that play, the way that you can play it, not just the individuality. That's, well, it comes out with Bananas getting 2 individual plays, but Unreal going to be the only player alive to try and do something. And a 14-1 first half, going to be, like you say, difficult to swallow, but it's going to be something that's, well, VNR are going to have to either jump high, or they're going to struggle to be able to do anything after the first round.
Yeah, they're going to have to do a lot more than jump high if they're going to want to make this comeback happen, as they are at a deficit of 13 rounds. Going to what I mean, I even have been recently saying I think Cash is a 50-50, if not a little bit T-sided map, so having such a heavily sided scoreline is definitely not what I expected, but the game's not over until the fat lady sings, and we all know what type of comebacks the South African scene is capable of, so let's see if we are going to be witnessing one of those fantastic moments. Bananas, he is able to get the first frag of the round, 4 versus 5, and that Cloud's on the back, but he also hasn't backed off yet. He's still in A main, keeping control. He picks himself in second, so not shying away from the challenge here. Once again, he's just taking face-to-face battles. Somehow nobody getting taken down off this duel, but Diego has been brought down to some really low HP, and double peak is just going to be too much for him to deal with. So Vienna are looking like they be able to get back into this by taking, not ready to get back into this, but at least do the first objective by taking that second pistol round. So at least completing the first challenge.
Yeah, bit by bit, round by round is the only way you're going to do it. You're buying every round no matter what, so there's no consideration really to save until we get something like 14, 13 or something along those lines. But something actually I forgot to add on to was that we're getting a lot of these situations where the map is almost won, in the minds at least of the team that takes the first half, and the ones that take it very strongly. But we've also seen that the way that if you don't get all 16, it doesn't mean anything in comebacks are. Only one player going down for the VNR team, as the whole A bomb side really shuts out of that play, and going to be forced into Iceland to be able to possibly can. And that is the third round, as we were saying, round by round. The only way you're going to get back, and you have to make sure you add everything up, and well, just push it all to the end.
Yeah, it's about putting that scoreline out of your mind and taking it round by round. That's where you need an experienced IGL who's capable of just rallying the troops, and so capable of pulling off such a massive comeback. We will have to wait and see for Nico here. For Fat Cloud Gaming, really no investments in this round whatsoever, no equipment, no upgraded pistols, and they have a long time here. They have a lot of rounds to work with, so they're not going to want to force any of the issues or make any unnecessary plays, because that could also cause more frustration than anything else. If you pick up those force buys and then you keep losing the rounds, rather just give yourself the best opportunity by going for that full buy round and taking it slowly, not getting over ahead of yourself. I mean, sometimes that scoreline can give you a blinding light of confidence where you think you're on top of the world, and before you know it, VNR have gotten to 8, 9, 10 rounds. They're starting to touch on double digits, and things are not as bright as they were looking. So they're going to want to avoid that situation at all costs, and that's what these buy rounds are going to come down to.
Yeah, something that VNR doesn't have a lot of is net rounds to play with. They end up losing that second round of the second half in the last map up of Train, and that could have been a lot more detrimental in a position like this. You don't want to have that situation, like you say, getting up to 8, 9 rounds against you, and then Fat Cloud are sitting there asking questions, and especially if the situation happens very quickly or you lose the rounds in consecutive nature that you have to here to be able to lose this map, you're going to have a situation that it's happening extremely quickly, and once that starts rolling through, you don't even realize where 8 or 9 rounds has gone, and you know that consistently you've lost all 8 or 9, and then, well, you have to start making sure of things. So it's going to be important to try and get as much economical damage on it as well. But if they don't get that, they need to make sure that they steal out just that one round, get themselves to 15, and also force the CTs into a very expensive rebar.
Yeah, they're going to at least have to make sure that if they're not winning the rounds, they're at least doing damage to VNR's economy, at least making sure that in the buy rounds they're getting 3 or 4 frags time and time again, because if they do win a round, they'd like to put VNR in that situation where they're going to reset their economy. But 4 versus 5 at the moment, nice boost up here, good cross cover coming out from the VNR players on this A hold, so not even losing a player as of yet, as they are 5 versus 2 up, and it's going to be all about that first buy round. So Fat Cloud Gaming still not able to get anything done in this eco. I mean, of course, that's fairly expected. Sometimes things do go your way and you find 1 or 2 frags, but VNR just not giving them that opportunity.
No, you don't want to. You really don't want to insult or give your opposition even a slight sniff at the goal. You've got such an advantage here, and you want to make sure that you make use of it. Like you say, it can be a blinding light to the point where you actually overlook your own scoreline, just trying to be a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too expansive, and try and do some unnecessary moves. Yeah, you can get away with it. You can, but you don't want that situation to be relied on. We've seen knife kills that have been attempted. We've seen all sorts of different 360 spins to try and work out. And when those don't, it can do a lot more damage than just that kill or that round. And we've seen that time and time again. So that's why that 16th round is really where you've got to end it. There's no longer that once you start off with an 11-4 or 12-3 that you've got this in the bag. It's definitely that counterproductive attitude that ends up losing you a lot more games.
Yeah, that's a good skill to try and accomplish as a team. Make sure you've got the ability to close out maps, as they're going for middle control here. I see peeking up highway, not going to be spotting anything out, so they're going to be quite interested by this, that VNR are not contesting middle control at all. So VNR have got no information. They're going to be using their equipment and stuff to be keeping Fat Cloud Gaming at bay, but at the moment looks like they're kind of bunching towards B. They've got control of there, so they could have that checkered and toxic hit onto B. They get the player on highway, and that's going to cause a bit of confusion for VNR. They're not going to be sure where the hit's coming. They're now going to have confirmation it's B, and one of the players does go down, so it is all down to Kenpachi, who is all by himself, and he gets taken down, although Bananas gets one on the support. It's just not enough, as he is too far away to have any more influence, and that is just massively detrimental that Fat Cloud Gaming are able to come into it straight in the first round, and you feel like VNR just gave them too much control of middle. They needed to at least be contesting, trying to take down a player before. It's too late to go into mid later in the round like Slowy did. They already had control of mid and they were holding the angle, so you can't retake middle with no information. You need to either fully commit or fully decommit, and you can't do anything in the middle, and in the end that costs him his life, and they get completely split, and in the end it doesn't work out for them. So Bananas is going to be at least able to save the AK-47, but now Fat Cloud Gaming on that all-important 15th round.
Well, unfortunately, just the play not working out, and exactly like you say, if you're going to be giving up middle control, you can't be repeaking with no information or trying to retake it, and when you're going to peak those angles, you've got 3 or 4 situations where they can shoot you from, and there were close events which ended up getting the frag anyway, even though he pointed on the corner at the right place. So that scenario forcing your team into now a double split play where you're not even able to be confirmed as to which one of the sites they're going to be entering into, and well, Fat Cloud Gaming just took full control of that and made sure that they shut them out as quickly as possible, and now already find themselves in a one-man up advantage, and middle control going to have to be contested again by another one of the CTs, as if Icy picks up this frag, there's going to be a hell of a lot of... He does get the spin on him as well, and Kenpachi goes down, so that's the potential to be in a third player now to drop, and I think this is just unfortunately a little bit too late, as the situation is they don't have many players available, or many rounds at least, and now a 2 versus 3, and they're going to have to fight a lot for this.
Yeah, but 2 versus 3, and now on the back of that frag, it's a 2 versus 2, so the job is certainly still doable. It's going to be down to Tianki. He's going to have to clutch 1 versus 2 if he's going to want to keep VNR in this. Meister down on a mere 4 HP. Tianki in a pretty advantageous position here, and he's going to be able to get the frag. So salvaging the situation with a 4K at the end, and managing to keep them in this. But how long are they able to keep this up? How long can they keep Fat Cloud out of it? I mean, Cash is one of those maps where sometimes an all-out A rush or an all-out B rush is just too much to deal with, and at the end of it you just go on to lose the round. But they can't afford to have any of those scenarios, so a full buy-up coming up once again from Fat Cloud, and they're going to be going for that aggressive B in the earlier stages, and this is exactly what I was talking about. There's only one CT player here, and if they are able to get into that B site without any initial reply from the CTs, then I feel like it may be too difficult for them to come back from. But Kenpachi is defense, so he's literally able to support Kenpachi. They go straight past each other, do the players, and Kenpachi supports somehow. He's able to pick up a double and take him down. Tianki coming in with the support as well as Unreal. And all of a sudden, IC is all that remains in a 1 versus 3, and he gets taken down as well. So VNR are keeping themselves alive as they get themselves to the 7th, and going to be putting Fat Cloud Gaming in that eco situation.
Yeah, Fat Cloud want to make sure that they keep themselves away from these scenarios. In the end of the day, VNR don't really have a round to play with, so the economy is just going to keep building until they either win or lose this scenario, and then it's either overtime or not. I do think though that if we look at it, I mean, Master doing all the damage that needed to be done with official players, so it's going to be key for him to maintain that, just to make sure that he gets himself a kill 2 to add into that area. 2 players going down from VNR's perspective, but not before they take down 4 of the players inside of and the bomb not going to go down, and that's going to spark the situation to have a buy. I'm not going to see an AWP coming out here unless we're going to see a headless armor AWP, or armorless headless AWP, whichever way you want to say it. And the scenario going to be as such, just to make sure that they can get as much damage as early as possible, or they're going to find themselves in that scenario. Well, I guess I lied. They're going to go for that second save.
Yeah, quite interesting that they just even out the economy a little bit, because they did have enough money to get a full buy-up, so they just want to make sure they've got a full set of equipment on all players. They've got an AWP. They do still have some few pieces of upgraded pistols to work with. IC is quite an advanced position with this tech line. Touch on the opposite side of the wall here. He still has support from Tianki and Events once again, so this is a setup they do seem to favor. They have got a scout to work with, so IC getting a bit aggressive towards B is going to get taken down, and this has been one of the faults that has been quite prominent in FC's setup, and that's that they have been individually pushing around the map quite a lot. Specifically, IC has been going into places where he gets taken down without any opportunity for his teammates to get either map control towards the other side of the map or getting a refrag. So just going to have to be more conscious of that, as like you were saying, those small mistakes can really start to catch up to you and cost you more than you think.
Key plays and key moments obviously all get determined by those initial to get them, like you say, you have pressure onto yourself and trying to force yourself into a buy round. Now this is obviously a very risky scenario from the perspective from FC. Happen it's going to do a little bit of a suicide mission before they finish off that round, but it's a full buy coming out from now from both teams. We're going to have more set up on each side, and it's really going to be important to make sure that they don't rely on the individual play from Meister, and be able to get a team effort going into entering into that site and taking down the VNR players early. Allow them to get 1 or 2 advantaged, and once they get that point, they can really move themselves around and across the map without too much of a worry, and not allowing the time ball to come out from them.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen when VNR can get some momentum going, that Fat Cloud sometimes becomes a bit clueless. So if that is the case, we could see things swaying quite quickly. We already see a double going the way of VNR, so taking early control this round, a third. So things starting to look a little bit on the on the downside for Fat Cloud, and like we were saying earlier, before you know it, the game is not as in much your control as you thought it initially was. 5 versus 2 now, still an AWP and an AK to work with, and lots of time, so they could find some frags if the VNR players get a little bit unnecessarily aggressive, but surely you wouldn't expect that when the game is at such a fragile stage. As some information is being found by the CT player pushing around T-Spawn, that is Bananas. He knows where the bomb is. Believe is able to get one, and that means that middle control is now open, and with the bomb where it is, the CTs have moved around. It's a 2 versus 3 now, so Meister also gets one with the AWP. So finding some entries in the round here towards the end, 25 seconds left, and not really reacting is Meister. He's still towards B, so it feels like they're going to be quite happy rather just to go for the eco in this situation. Just too much of a hold on the bomb here for VNR.
Yeah, I think a bit of a wise decision. Take 2 guns with you to the next round. You already have lost that full squeeze hold that you had at the 14 or 13-1 scenario, and then obviously coming back and that second round can play so much in your mind. But they didn't even get that, and now they're at a point that they're at 10, which means you know you've lost 9 rounds almost consecutively. It was really a tight round that ended up becoming that bomb plant, and because of the way that it's just been structured from BNR's side, you don't want to lose that confidence. You don't want to get frustrated and start overthinking your plays, and you need to make sure that you get full control back into any part of the map, and don't allow those individual plays to be coming out one by one. Otherwise, a lot of problems can be seen as right, exactly like that.
Yeah, once again, the advantage way of VNR getting themselves a second, so Fat Cloud Gaming just running into some trouble here, as they're not really able to complete the executions. They're losing players before they even get close to the site. 4 versus 2 now, going to be able to get into the site eventually as Icy, but he gets taken down. All that's left now is Smithers with an AWP. He gets himself the first. Still lots of time to work with, and the bomb certainly in a position that he could get it and make a move over towards A if he wanted. He's going to be getting wrapped around here though, although the player actually decides to go towards vents. And Smithers is moving up away from the bomb here. AWP, he's going to peek out too slowly. That's going to be an easy shot for Slowy to take out. So Vienna getting themselves to 11. That's 10 rounds they've now picked up on their CT side, and that's going to be definitely playing on FC's mental side, as they're going to start doubting their abilities a little bit, as we see them now Bulls coming out for Stinkwood, while the rest of the team ecos. Now we can see their communication is not at the height that it should be, even though they had a 14-1 halftime scoreline. But they're going to be going to B once again, and is it just a matter of time before one of these rush executes works out? They actually smoke it and push through their own smoke. Yankee in vents once again is going to be getting the first, although they do get a frag of their own. Still too much control has really been given up. Stinkwood with the UMP is able to get himself a frag, but trades coming in, Slowy and Bananas getting one apiece. Meister going to get taken down as well. So that is 12 now for VNR. 3 match and map points still remaining for Fat Cloud Gaming, but they have been looking too lackluster when it comes to these buys, and you're just starting to doubt their ability a little bit.
Well, it has been down to almost an exact replica of the first half, just in the reverse. I mean, it's that scenario that VNR ended up only winning that 5th round, and so far FC have only won that 5th round. It's a play that they mustn't try and analyze too much, otherwise you're going to get yourself in a scenario of almost forcing that draw onto yourself and just putting pressure onto that last round. They have 3 match points now. They don't want to put themselves into that last one to force the win, and I think that could almost be devastating for VNR if they do get all the way there to that 14th round and then lose it. I think that they'll say that at the end of the day it was just one of those situations that we have to just carry on and move forward, because it isn't a complete finish, but it is something that would be a hell of a comeback, as we've already seen. And now 11 rounds in a row, using the losers bonus obviously coming from Fat Cloud Gaming, and they're obviously going to be able to buy up at least for the rest of this half.
Yeah, well, if they do lose a round, it is the game regardless. So going towards the A side now are Fat Cloud Gaming, all 5 players. I think it's a full bang caboodle going out. Unreal gets one as well as his teammates Bananas and Slowly picking up one of the opposite things, just continuing to go VNR's way here. I believe not able to get one, so again Smithers in a 1 versus 3 clutch, and Vienna managing to hold their composure here. They're still not losing their advantages. Rather, it was a 1 versus 4 actually. So getting themselves to a 13th round now do Vienna, and the economy really not in a great position for Fat Cloud, and it looks like they're even going to be saving for that 30th round. So we may potentially be going the full distance on this third and final map, or are we going to have the same scenario on the first map where Vienna got to 13 and then Fat Cloud beaten on the right at the end there?
He played this round over quick enough just to get into that 30th round, and well, in the end doing a little bit of economical damage, but not really much of a matter, as there would be 100% full bar coming from that CT side. But as I say, that now it's a 2 versus 2, and now a 2 versus 1, as it looks like that they've thrown away that advantage they had on a round, exactly as you called it, that they only got up to 13th round, and he doesn't hit the headshot. He moves in time, and now Kenpachi is able to get himself back into this, as it's all going to be down to the fact that the bomb is not in a fun position for Meister, as he's going to have to make his move, knowing obviously the site is clear for now. It's going to be down to a hell of a lot of time, and really those one-on-one plays.
Yeah, huge round. I mean, of course, this is the clutch for both players. If Smithers can get this, he will close out this best of 3. So much riding on this, and he's managed to get himself to a decent post-plant position here in A main. Kenpachi has got a kit as well as a flash to work with. He lands the shot, but it's through the box, so it's only the leg, and he's going to be going straight onto the defuse. He's going to take it. He has a kit as well, although he does back with the Tech 9, completes it, and he gets the clutch. 16-13, going the way of Fat Cloud Gaming. Way too close in the end. Smithers closing it out with 30 frags, and just going above and beyond. So Fat Cloud going to be progressing in this community shield. That knocks VNR out. Maybe a little bit disappointed with themselves considering how far they came in that comeback. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will be leaving you for tonight. We will be back though tomorrow with Bravado Gaming versus Pro Wolves. Winner of that secures them spot in the grand final. So big game coming up tomorrow. Make sure you join us. Like I said, we'll also be having that improved stream quality.
Yes, thanks again for following us through this evening. Apologies again for that stream. We'll make sure that it is fully up and running by tomorrow, and we would love to have you on again tomorrow. Just drop us as well a line, have a follow for our Twitters. Just let us know if there's anything that you wish to see or do or want us to know. And well, in the end of the day, I'm at Wampie, WHAMPIE 16, and at CSGO.
Yeah, at CSGO with.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a great evening, and have a great week.